Fnatic on the Philippines, they pick up the Bruno, and they pick up that Lu Yi. Leo, these are the first 3 picks for Fnatic on the Philippines. Do you feel like they got a good start here?
I think the Monster Mage is very happy, and if Super Prince is happy, the Super family is happy. Just with these 3, you have your core set up. You can also just now think of a front line. And look, another core for TLID. You were looking for the Hayabusa.
I was looking for the Hayabusa because, come on, what else is there?
It's been one of the few answers to the Suyo, essentially. If you don't have the Joy, Hayabusa is your next best thing.
Yeah, and with the Hayabusa, right, it's easily able to get to the Lu Yi, a hero that likes to stay from afar but lacks the mobility.
Gentlemen, they need to choke out the frontliners now. Get rid of Tigreal, get rid of Hylos, get rid of Gatot.
Okay, now, here's the thing. I'm actually looking at TLID here. They have the Granger. The Granger is good going up against the Lu Yi because he can actually open up the map. But I'm a little bit worried here about Ezekiel, the Ghost of Jakarta. Because looking at that, looking at how King Kong plays, I feel like a lot of aggression is going to mid. How will he answer that?
Well, I think they go for maybe some long distance here, right? We've seen Aaron Shiki pick up the Poke Granger. Maybe they lock in something insane like the Navaria, something long range, something like the Xavier we saw earlier on. I don't know if that's how you want to start off game 1, but maybe it's exactly how you start off something game 1.
A little closer to the chest, like a Farsa. He's been getting good results.
Oh, Frank is on to something here, folks. Novaria gets banned out. So again, like, we know this team. It's been 24 days that M6 has been going through. We know that Onyx will attack that mid. Because if you look at their 2 bans already for Ezekiel, they're really challenging the Ghost of Jakarta. What else do you got?
Yeah, the mid-lane Maestros trying to get some finesse. With the Lucy, it's a lot of mobility for the side of Fnop. I do agree with the Farza pick up things, be wise, especially with the wings by wings for some mobility on your side. We also got to take a look at Fnop, right, for the XP and the roam position. There goes the clue, so maybe the Hylos, maybe the Gatot sneaks up in here. We know it's a great way to create some chaos and be able to get to the back line, and there goes the Hylos.
Does Fnatic on pick up a specialty for Kirk? Do they get the Edith, or do they annihilate a Gatot? That's a lot of jumps. Or the Khalid for Brusco? That's a lot of mobility between the diversions and the sandblocks.
Let me just say, if we do have a Tlid roll here, if I'm TLID, I'm not feeling good.
Not feeling good at picking Farza anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of like a preemptive strike if you pick up the Khalid here. It's a preemptive. You're not going to pick a stable mage. It better be one that can move around. So they took him and Edith. Still one more pick. Roam or EXP still, essentially. Most likely this is the Kirk special, though.
I know Kirk.
Yeah, I like the Khalid here. Not gonna lie. Something aggressive going up against the Joe as well. They're taking the time here. It looks like they pick up the Gata Kacha instead. Jumping to the back lines. They have multiple angles. Divergent here, but then suddenly Avatar the Guardian coming from somewhere else. Multiple angles by Fnatic on the Philippines here.
And now it comes down to what Yehezkiel plays. Yehezkiel, Wiseman, what you got? It's got to be something range, right? You don't want to dive in.
But the Gato Kacha is there as well. Even if you pick up a Farsa, you're going to get caught.
I don't think you go for anything like the Valentini. You're just so close. It is tough. No matter what, you're in a tough spot. So maybe it's a what are you comfortable with pick here. Maybe it's a what are you okay with here.
I mean, it could even be the Aurora, right? I mean, you have a lot of frontline heroes. You can get the crowd control effect in your assets, especially when you have a Cho and you have the Hylos. They're good at diving, but that overall group setup potential might not be there.
Need a stopper. He played this once.
Yes.
And it comes out. He's technically both in your face and away. The Lilia.
Lilia, the last pick, but let me tell you folks, in a best of 7, if you want to take risks, if you want to take chances, it's definitely for game number 1. Thank you very much to the panel. Oceana Arena, get ready, because we're jumping to game number 1.
We started with 16 and now we're down to 2, and third time is the charm here. The third time these teams, these 2 champions from their respective regions will meet up to find out who will be the world champion here. What is up, guys? I'm Nice joined on the desk with Gideon Q and Mirko. Gentlemen, how are we feeling about the first draft?
I feel like the first draft is interesting. Punish your front lines, be able to diversify, go into the back lines as well. Cool places to attack each comp.
Hey man, they're gonna go in for the dive. They want to play their game. Both of them, right? Fnop want to go aggressive. TLID want to go aggressive. It's a brawl.
It's gonna be a brawl out here again, a best of 7, and we're starting it up with game number 1. Axiata Arena is ready for this bout, and both these teams have fought through the gauntlet to lead up to this. Already in the mid lane, a lot of early action expected with what we've seen so far. Super Prince pretty low here, but we got to talk about the fact that the meta has really set in, especially throughout the knockouts and where we've landed now. With this Lilia pick from Yehezkiel, mind you, one of the players that brings out the most unique heroes to the game here. And how does this work out?
Yeah, they brought up the Savior. We were expecting something like that too. Oh, Witty with a blinker out. But yeah, this pick isn't really something we see too much of from Yehezkiel in MPL Indonesia Season 14. Though, however, when his name was still Sin, we saw a lot of Yehezkiel Lilia.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the few picks that can apply a lot of pressure to your opponents, right? As long as you are hitting those stacks and making sure that you are continuously keeping them in place, you're basically a zoning mage, right? And let's not forget that, at least with Lo Yi, yes, the yin-yang reaction is great, but it also has the conditions of making sure you have an enchanted talisman, for an example. And you can even see, right, from the emblems itself, he wants to live in these fights to continuously throw them out.
Oh, flicker out from Yehezkiel. Shadow Kill, not ready just yet. There you go. King Kong gonna be very low. Shadow Kill not able to transfer over to King Kong. Both teams surviving, no casualties as of the first minute.
Well, good thing though, you know, Yehezkiel doesn't go down, had to burn the flicker, so that is going to be down. Also the revitalize from Brusco. But both teams still obviously looking for that potential first blood, really on this side of the map here.
Okay, it's Kurt. Just gonna walk up. Aran do the same thing. Both of the tanks here, frontliners. It just seems like, you know, it's kind of a similar game that Brusco wants to play compared to Aran. It's all about screening, waiting, and I would say distracting the back line.
I mean, as long as the back line is confused with where they need to go,
Yeah.
Team Liquid ID, we know for a fact they kind of want to go straight forward at their opponents, but only on the right conditions. And hopefully, it's based on where Super Prince is going to be showing himself.
And that's a part of this. Again, at level 4 for Witty, not available just yet. So not going to be able to go for that pick-off potential. Same thing on the other side. You know, it's Fnatic Onyx PH that wants to take their time as they approach the first objective. Don't want to overextend. Brusco has been fantastic throughout the tournament, making plays himself, you know, setting things up, like, for example, with the Tlid that we saw earlier on. There's the taunt, though. Witty's in trouble.
No, Witty jumping back and forth. Wave the dragon over to Brusco. That's Fabian walking up. Shadow Kill to Brusco. AOG able to escape.
He's still alive, and now they keep on going for it. Aaron Shiki's hitting back against Super Prince. The front lines are starting to crumble.
Revitalize. Witty jumping back into Kundo. Nakabrusco up. Diversion to the back as well. Witty taken down by Kurt with that primal wrap.
And they'll make it happen. First blood still going, though.
Oh, Brusco. Oh, he's alive, right? They're all good. They're all good. All right. First blood goes through as expected. We weren't hoping for this game to be extremely bloody. It's still a marathon. It's not a race.
Aran will be trying to zone them away. Queller comes in from King Kong. Fabian on Aran gonna go for the stunt. Kirk with the onward, and that's the kill with a soul sever. 2 kills for the neutral objective. Fabian.
He's fine. Oh, whoa, he goes back. Kirk. Oh,
They're not with it yet. They want to keep on trading as much as they can. They cannot let this gold go too far off their leads.
you see already the back and forth. The pendulum is already swinging this early in the game. And that's what you want to do. If you're TLID, you want to go in for those pickoffs. You utilize the fact that you're so mobile on this Hayabusa for Fabian. He does pick the Hunter Strike already too. Black shoes already used from Yehezkiel.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage, man. Don't know if they spot. Yehezkiel spots it. Oh, no one takes it. Just a bit of vision, utility here and there for FNOP.
Red call. But so far, you can tell that both teams are trying to determine where the battle lines are, right? Respect the borders. The river has been such a dangerous place already in the first 4 minutes of the game, and only very small advantages have been created. So far, King Kong, a single level ahead of Fabian for now, and things could start snowballing out of control, because even Kirk has a lead on Iran.
He has a lead right now, still kind of checking out the area here too. Looking in the buffs before this next objective does come up. But so far, so good for Fnatic Onyx. PH could be in trouble. Pops the primal wrap, might get run down.
No flicker. Fabian with the quad shadow, able to connect onto Kirk. He is all isolated. He will not use the resources here. It will just be a kill. A good pickoff for the cavalry.
And Fnatic Onyx DH have not found on the opposite side. Close, but still no cigar this time. Woody able to cover on air on Shiki, knowing the motions coming in from Fnatic Onyx. That first rotation looks good. Here comes the next fight.
Taunt into Soul Sever from King Kong. Revitalized, used up by Aran. A stun over to Brusco. AOG defensively. And that will be it in that skirmish. Meanwhile, the Usurper, Fabian, up top, picking up a turret. Diversion coming down as well. King Kong charging up the surge. Won't be able to find it. Fabian should be able to escape freely.
Gets out freely, gets a turret. Fabian doing work right now. He's everywhere on the Hayabusa. And that's what Fnatic Onyx PH has to watch out for. Head on a swivel, but again, they have the Luo Yi. We saw Super Friends play this hero to a T throughout this tournament. And for the M6 in general, it's been such a crucial pick for a lot of teams in their compositions of how they approach the macro level of the game. Now that this turtle is up, though, second one for the taking, TLID has a very minor lead. And they'll try to get control of this too. Again, even if they plant Yehezkiel up front as a mage, it's fine. He can always black shoes out and just try to bait out some of the resources from Fnatic, and that's why they're so careful on the approach. Oh, bottom side.
Oh, Carol might actually, oh man, Fabian already used a shadow kill earlier, so no kill. Diversion, Aran. Stopping the bush, Aaron Chinky but a dash away from the Earth Shatter. Now it's Winnie coming down. King Kong securing the turtle.
He finds it. They manage to walk away. If they disengage now, it's going to be a plus for Fnatic Onyx PH here. But the Usurper will not let this stand. He's looking for another turret. That's two already secured.
At this point, this guy, he's a jungler, but he's also a turret destroyer, right? He's pushed down 2 tier 1s. But look at this side of the jungle. He focusing here. Witty should be able to get out. Takes the Queller, but he's fine. But they do take a buff, and so they are going to try to find something around the map, and that's what Fnatic Onyx will always do when they get the information on the moves coming out from TLID. So next focus for them, again, both teams already having one turtle, but the next time this comes up, the Lord is for the taking here. And that's where we really have to start to look. Are the items in place for them to find out? Witty.
Great dash away from Tiku. No Winnie. The back spot. Kelra picks up the kill. Shadow kill from Fabian. Kelra's gonna be taken down by Fabian.
Rod Vitalize already popped down, and Super Prince is going to get zoned out. Brusco should be gone for it. Yehezkiel bails out with the black shoe.
Well, they still want to fight.
Oh, back into Fabian. Kirk going in as well. Primo Rat to take him down.
No!
Shingy bursted by the yin-yang reaction of Super Fritz.
That's a great collapse, a clap back from Fnatic Onyx PH. This has been a battle of inches so far. We haven't seen any real momentum, but at least this time round, Fnatic Onyx PH fight on their terms after the initial aggression from TLID.
And that's what they had to have happen at this point. Again, waiting for that first lord to come up. That also allowed now Kelra has the Malefic gun on the Bruno alongside the Haas-Claw. So he's got the 2 items. And over on the other side, Aaron Shiki still building up into the second item. But they also grabbed themselves that tier 1 turret now on the top side. So playing into this in 20 seconds when that Lord comes up, Fnatic might decide to go ahead and approach this in a different way. Remember, every single time they can utilize Super Friends with the Luo Yi, show up at an off angle, and surprise TLID.
All right, so we're seeing a different approach to the Granger here in the Grand Finals. Aaron Chinky going for the safer approach. Usually we see Skypiercer item 2 diversion.
Oh,
He's gonna be careful here.
they spot him.
Action, no, the taunt as well. No, Fabian gets away from the taunt, gets out of the worldy. Or just the last shot, actually. Not even worldy committed right by Kelra.
But now the Lord, they've lost position on it, right? With Fabian so low, I don't think he can contest for this. Let's see how TLID is going to handle as they drop the Glorious Pathway.
Glorious Pathway down as well. King Kong able to reverse it down with Soul Sever. Winnie jumping in with his Gundo and the Dragon.
And then continue forward. Arachiki holding his ground. They're looking for a fight. Oh, Fabian fights one. Kelra takes down another. And now without any purifies, Kelra walks forward, finds it. Kurt takes it. Arachiki is down. And that is going to be a full wipeout here for Fnatic Onyx PH.
The gold standard. Kelra making his mark on the world stage in the Grand Finals. A wipeout. And now he's just balling down these turrets.
He saw Fabian take the turrets. He's taken the team and the mid turret tier 2. Taking a look at the instant replay brought to us by Kadia. This setup was so good, and it looked like Team Liquid had an idea on how they could win this team fight. But the biggest problem, look at the positioning for Kelra. Untouched, just able to move and groove and slide around and pick up the kills and clean things up.
I think that TLID, even though they had an idea in terms of execution, could not find it just yet, right? Oh no, Witty.
Oh, man, Kelra. This is the burst. Aaron Shiki even coming. AOG, Aaron Shiki gonna be falling to Brusco. Diversion to the back.
And Brusco, he doesn't mind with Kirk and Super Prince already holding on. Yehezkiel, making sure those minions are down. They can't get out of this just yet.
Kelra is unstoppable and is going for more as well. Kelra gets a double.
Into the slide, he went. The toss up, the slide, it's all on point.
Talking about chemistry, the Super family well connected there, making sure that the onward and the slide tackle are perfectly in combination, and they get to walk out for free despite being in the base with holy shields.
And this is why it's just so infuriating. It's so annoying to go up against Fnatic Onyx Philippines. for the few 6 minutes we saw, we were like, all right, they were matching King Kong, they were matching Kirk. But then Kelra shows up.
It's a tough game. It's a really, really tough game here. Based on the items, you can see the respect coming out from both sides, all right? Aaron Shiki currently at 2 items with the Hunter Strike and the BOD. He's not going for Sky Piercer this time around, but even Fabian, right? He's not going for Sky Piercer either. He wants instant power. He hasn't gotten the War Axe just yet, but decided to finish the Malefic Roar first.
There it is, locking that in. And this is the difficult part of it, because if we have to look at and break this down, Team Liquid ID, they just had a landslide goal deficit now. You can see it, right? They're feeling pretty good. The lightning emotes around, charges up. But for Team Liquid ID, they kind of relying on Witty. But the problem is, he prioritized Magic Resist. But the Kelra's the problem right now. A couple shots alone brings Witty down, even Aran on the high-lows. So now this is where they go ahead and continue to put the pressure, take the buffs, take whatever they want. And it's up to Team Liquid ID and Witty and Aran to figure out how do we deal with this.
I mean, right now, the next item, Power Spike, that we can see, Winds of Nature, already purchased by Kelra. He doesn't mind to go for those 1v1s, either against Fabian or even from Aaron Shiki. But at this point, I think that TL ID will have to just sacrifice another inhibitor. This next fight is going to make it or break it for them.
And Yehezkiel just can't get close. The fact of the matter is, Kelra already has a Malefic gun, so he's going to be outranging the grooves coming down from Yehezkiel. And if he needs to dish out a bit more damage to get the kill, he's going to have to sacrifice the black shoes, maybe even the flicker. And I don't know, man. I don't see Lilia as an execute hero.
I mean, Lilia is supposed to be designed against Brutsko, maybe even Kirk, sometimes even King Kong if he's already dashed into the middle of the fight, right? He needs Aaron Shiki to kind of slow them down so he can make sure he hits every single one of his abilities. But for now, Fnatic Onyx, they understand that they've got better team fighting overall based on the number of fights that they've had around the river.
And Aran will go ahead and give the information that Fnatic Onyx DH will go ahead and start up with the Lord here. They're pretty scattered across the map, so they might just be making the call, you know what, give up the Lord, give it to them, and get ready for a base defense because they got a lot of catching up to do. They're down 8,000 gold. The good thing is they hold on to the base turrets earlier on, but now that this Lord is getting ready to siege in, and what we've seen so far from the team fighting capabilities of this lineup from Fnatic Onyx PH, Team Liquid ID is going to have to pull some type of a miracle, already diversion, just trying to spot things out. Aran is there alongside Fabian. Wants to go ahead and grab his purple buff before this fight, before this defense that they need to pull off. But they're just shoved off of it again. So they have no choice but to go ahead and get prepped and ready for that Lord crashing down to the bottom side, managing the waves. The flares will go out, giving them the information at this point. And so now, Fnatic Onyx PH, are they going to press the situation, dive into the base, over the walls as the Lord charges in?
Wouldn't be too bad of an idea if they do so, right? As long as Kelra has the space, he can do whatever he wants to, and even sidestepping the Death Sonata shots just to make sure TLID gives him respect.
Look at that, Malefic gun. That's what it gets you. You can hit the turret from so far away. It's a mortar. Slowly but surely, just catapulting his way into the base turret. 2 base turrets gone just like that. They're blitzing the base of Liquid.
Are they going to go for a third here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's a mid-dragon. Over to Kirk. Kirk to be caught. Aaron Shiki unable to dish out enough damage. Aran demolished. Obliterated in front.
and with, that's tough. Aran is gone. Diversion.
Oh my god, almost available. Yehezkiel is quelled. And Brusco goes in for the AOG. 2 members down.
Literally vaporized at this point. Now going for the endgame scenario. They just don't have the items to hold on.
Kelra's just focused. FNOP claim game 1 in a dominant fashion.
Dominant game number 1. 7-1 and 5 for the gold standard Kelra. But man, the entire lineup shined in their own way through this. And for Team Liquid Indonesia, a lot to go ahead and calculate from here. Again, it's a best of 7. There's plenty of time to readjust, reconfigure the game plan here, and we'll see how those adjustments are made. But first, of course, we're gonna have this broken down by our panelists over there to tell us exactly what happened here in game number 1.
Let me tell you what happened. Fnatic Onyx Philippines, this is the first time they play at the Axiata Arena stage. The first game is just to remind you of what they're about. If you're thinking coming in that, okay, maybe yes, Jazz, they came in here and they're like, let me remind you, we have not dropped a single series.
Everybody asked the question, what is Fnatic Onyx doing? Are they resting? Are they preparing? What are they doing in their off time while you see TLID fight it up against SRG? And I guess now we have our questions answered.
dude, honestly, like, looking at this game, I gotta say, 10 minutes flew by so fast. Shout out to Adam Panda, by the way. 10 minutes flew by so fast that I was shocked. I went for a quick toilet break. I came back, and then I'm like, what happened? You gentlemen, tell me, what happened?
That was what you call a lightning round.
That was a lightning round. That was definitely, it was a quick little, that was a pre-round. You know, it was a pre-round. It was a warm-up. But right now, it felt like Fnop came in, warmed up. They waited their timing. They didn't rush things in the beginning. They even let themselves take a couple deaths. They sacrificed 2 off-lane towers. But Kelra never went down. And the moment we got to that first Lord, it showed tremendously the patience of them, not only on a full fight level, but in those team fights, the way they approach each fight, they're always looking for the turnaround.
This is what you get when a team such as the Super Family ends up with a draft that they're very comfortable with. This is what I meant when each team brings their own meta and you play that within the evolving meta. And Team Liquid ID, they did try, right? Like they tried to one up and say, oh, we're going to be the Granger first. And then we end up with a Cho. And then, small jungle pool, Hayabusa. It's not like they had a bad draft. It's just Fnatic Onic know this game so well and know how to play with the cracks, which was, again, why in 10 minutes they were able to, as you say, just take over.
And taking over, a domination, a lightning round, as Leo stated. And to me, something that stands out was Bruno the Bruiser on Skatat. We saw several engagements where he went in, took several hits, went back out, waited a second, looked back, saw Aaron Shiki, jumps back in, and guaranteed the kill. Whereas I feel like Witty, he was just a very hard time on those initiations.
Right now, gentlemen, elephant in the room, this Lilia pick. Do you guys feel like it's serviceable in this series? Or is this going to be the last time we see this Lilia?
I don't think the Lilia was the problem. The Lilia was packing a punch. It was giving them very good early game rotations. It was clean. Honestly, some of the big mess-ups came from the Cho, came from Witty, either over-aggressing, the team fight's already over, he's re-engaging when he's a little too low on health. You know, things of that nature was my issue, at least, with this match.
And in comes a term that we often hear in analysis, forced errors. I think it was up to the Bruiser, Brusco, playing that man-to-man defense throughout 80% of the game that checked Witty. It's so hard as a Cho if you can't find odd angles, and what makes it worse is the extra battlefield mobility provided for by the Luyi. The Lilia was she had to check every corner. The Luyi, though, you saw that there was a micro diversion, even inside their own base. TLID wasn't safe. And so it's this mid duo that keeps TLID on their toes even from the start.
I think we all know what the tenacity does now. I mean, you got a good showcasing of that from Brusco. There were just so many engagements, but I felt like he was like 1 HP, but that little bit of defense made the difference. And that just shows you, it's more of the, I don't really feel like the draft was the issue. It was just micro plays. Witty just overextending, getting picked off, and that one slight decision made the difference.
I want to touch on the draft a little bit, but we're going to do it after this analysis because I'm seeing something here. I wonder if it will happen again in game number 2. But now we're looking at the damage numbers, and Kelra had a pretty good time. But honestly, Aaron Shiki, even though from a losing position, 46,000 damage, honestly isn't that bad.
What the Untouchable One did was get out of lane much, much sooner. I think that's where a lot of the Sonics, all of the fans of the Super Fam, that's where they stood up and said, oh, it's real now. Because remember, that first big team fight where everyone was part of, that I'd say Liquid ID won technically, he got out of the lane, Kelra did. So that means Aaron Shiki and Liquid ID know how to use the map and how to space out when they can. Apparently that didn't cost Aaron Shiki much. So that's why he does this much damage. Compared to Kelra, who took it slow, played the long game, and eventually hit his power spike, it was inevitable for the core to outscore Liquid IDs.
And now we got to look at the MVP of the game. Is going to be the gold standard. Kelra on that Bruno. One of the best heroes giving to one of the best players. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I mean, Kelra has continuously been a monster, and he needed to take that patience in the early game. He needed to wait right around 7 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes. That's when those power spikes start hitting, and that's when Fnop like, okay,
okay, let's do this. And Kelward did it so well, even in that last big team fight. We'll see it when the highlights come up, I'm sure. He goes off, he takes down Witty while the rest of the team is fighting, and then he comes in through second, third quarter of that fight and just starts cleaning up with perfect distancing, perfect turnaround.
And how did he do that? A priority on Haas clause. So many times in this game, especially in the early to mid, Kelward we put down to a third of his health. And that's why you said in the later 2/3 of that fight, he would somehow come back, is because of the Haas claw. And gentlemen, guess what the second item was?
The range.
The Malefic gun. And that suddenly changed the way Team Liquid ID had to push their frontliners forward. Aran was at half health even before he could see Kelra. Widdy was usually dead even before the fight really began.
Yeah, honestly, looking at this matchup here, Fnatic on Philippines, we were talking about how great the micro is, and so far they're really showcasing. I feel like for both teams, they have this understanding that moving around the map, we both know how to do that. But let me out-muscle you. And I gotta say, Fnatic on Philippines, they really showed their muscle here. Speaking of muscles, I'm actually looking at how the draft progressed in the first game just now. In terms of how the game played out, we see a lot of different roles really making the picture of how this game plays out. But in the draft, it does look like Fnatic on the Philippines, they're respecting Fabia, making sure that he doesn't get the alpha. So in my head, is it going to be a strategy for TLID not to ban out the junglers just so that Fabia and King Kong can have a fair matchup? Because TLID, when Fabian is not on a hero that he can initially perform by himself, not saying he's not good on the Hayabusa, but something like a Joy, something like a Suyo, it's a different TLID.
Definitely a different TLID, and I think when we come to this next game, there's a big chance TLID takes first pick. So we are definitely going to see some differences in draft, differences in bans, and the way things are driven through that. Big chance maybe we see them favor Fabian and give him the Suyo up front. Maybe Fnop bans it out. We'll have to see exactly how it goes. And again, I don't think it was a complete draft issue. I think Fnop knew their power spike opportunity. They executed it perfectly, and TLID didn't respect it. They didn't respect that 7.5-minute rush and just over-engaged. They didn't keep it steady.
I agree with you that I also don't feel it is a draft issue, but we gotta respect the draft here because it really does look like the coaches, they're making some mental notes of how they feel, how they move around the map with certain heroes, and I feel like this is the intricacies when we're looking at the grand finals. Is it a bad draft? Absolutely not. It's an amazing draft. But the coaches know the difference between a Joy, a Suyo, a Hayabusa, a Lancelot, a Link, and that's why they're keeping the options to the point where it's like, you're good on this hero, but we know what you're gonna do on second minute to third minute, and we can punish that.
Yeah, speaking of punish, we're seeing even the goal laners, like, you're still seeing the Bruno starting to walk, you're seeing the Granger starting to walk. They're willing to roll that dice, right? If you get the Granger, hey, we know we can still win on it. If we get the Bruno, we can do that as well. So now it's more of that prio on limiting that jungle potential.
You know what? If it does come down to it, we are still looking at about, 47-53 win rate for blue and red. If ever, some way, somehow, Liquid ID does, if Coach St. Lucas gives the blessing, hey, leave open the Joy, leave open the, I don't think the fans see the line.
Yeah,
leave open the Joy, and then they trade for the Blue Yo Joy. It's a question of, is that going to be a fair game? Is that going to be like a better goal for Team Liquid ID? I'd say no. I'd say it's possible that Liquid still just folds.
Question here. Before that, we gotta look at a quote here. The test of champions from Coach St. Lucas. Over the past 3 weeks, we've worked to instill a champion's mentality. Although the players are new to the M series, they've embraced this mindset. Being a pro is easy, but developing a champion's mentality is not. After our second loss to Fnop, it was chaotic and emotional. We had to make adjustments to our playstyle and strategy. Fixing them again will be a critical test, and losing for a third time would be devastating. As we prepare for this match, it all comes down to mentality, focus, and enjoying the match. Easy, this is an insight that I have not seen. I didn't know losing against Fnatic on Philippines affected them this badly. It was chaotic and emotional.
Well, I'll tell you what, to go somewhere you've never been, you got to be willing to do something you've never done. right? And that showcases that he's to take it to another level. He realizes that there's a difference from being a pro player and being a champion, right? It's bouncing back, being resilient, and that is what I expect to see from TLID in game number 2. Now, it's going to be a battle, right? It's these little decisions. We all agreed the draft is one thing, right? But it wasn't a one-sider because of the draft. It was just slight decisions that costed TLID that game.
You know what, Stefan? What was that little nugget of wisdom? To do something.
To go somewhere you've never been, you got to be willing to do something you've never done.
And that's what I'm trying to say about this whole jungle matchup. We've seen the Joy Suyo, we've seen the Fredrin Suyo, and we know how that works out. But what if TLID find a different angle of attack? Something that maybe we haven't even presented yet.
Granger jungle.
That,
Just don't ban.
I mean, Siskin used it. Granger jungle. Pick up Granger and Bruno.
it's a different time.
Something different.
I mean, he is saying what you're saying, but I don't know if we're talking about that much extreme, you know? I think, I don't know, when I see the